Welcome back to another episode of SEEK Bytes. Today we are going to be talking to Kelsy Luengen. I said that wrong, but that's all right. She corrects me throughout the podcast, and we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff. Crime prevention, what's a zero-day vulnerability? What's phishing, kishing or quishing, spear phishing, whaling? What is social engineering and why is that important? And Dungeons and Dragons training. Stick around to find out more. All right, so welcome back to another episode of SEEK Bytes. I'm Elliott Miller. Today I'm joined by William Luck and soon-to-be Dr., hopefully, Kelsy Luengen. Did I say the last name right?
You did really well.
Oh, great.
I'm glad you said that. I wouldn't have. You practiced the last name beforehand as well.
I did.
So.
Give it a go, Will.
Yeah. Kelsy, what do you do? What's your background? What do you do here at SEEK?
My job here is I'm a security influencer, which means I am tasked with making sure that people keep security front of mind, that we are safe in what we do here at SEEK, and also having fun games and activities and making sure that people, take security not just into their job, but at their home as well.
Very cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think I first met Kelsy the first or second week I was at SEEK because she was running it was kind of like a gamified security thing to have you looking at things like phishing and other...
Hacker's Mind, yes.
That's what it was, yes, Hacker's Mind.
So what we did was we walked you through a typical hacker, different types of hackers, and then we gave everyone different skill sets, and we said, all right, go attack the other team and see if you can get some information out of them. And so that was the whole point of the game, and people got really creative. I take those ideas, I put them into phishing simulations, and I send them to the whole company and see how they go.
So before we go any further, I suppose we should probably clarify for those who might not know, what is phishing?
It's a great question. Phishing is a really, really broad term. Traditionally, we think of phishing as email-based scams and threats. So broad area of scams, really. In emails, it's usually you're trying to download a malicious attachment, or you have a link that somehow tries to steal your credentials, your password, credit card information once you've clicked on it, and it takes you to a fraudulent page. Phishing now also encompasses things like SMS phishing. So the text messages that you get, your package is overdue, give us $3 and we'll release it from the post office, also a form of phishing. We also have it via quishing or kishing, up for debate whether we say the Q or the K, but those are QR codes that link again to some form of malicious page that tries to steal usually your credit card information at restaurants or at bus stops, something like that. We also have phone calls that are phishing. So people call you up and they go, hey, I'm from this company, or hey, I'm this customer support, something's wrong with your account, and once again try to get some sort of information out of you. So the threat landscape really is developing. There's a whole umbrella term for phishing, and then when you go even further, you have spear phishing. So that's not just general, we'll try to put our line out there and see what sticks. It's specifically, hey, I want Elliott, I want Will, I'm going to get SEEK, I'm going to make sure that they're targeted, I'm going to get the information out of them. And then we have whaling, which is just a whole nother thing where we try to get the big fish, we try to get the executives, we try to get our CEOs, the heads of finance, and they're specifically targeted through spear phishing.
I feel like the landscape for like phishing and all that stuff has gotten larger and larger. Well, as engineers, the things we need to learn and keep up to date with is constantly evolving faster each time. Is that the same for security practices as well? Absolutely.
Every day there is something new, and so my background is crime prevention. That's where I come from. And the main idea there is every time you have an opportunity, there's the opportunity for crime. So as soon as you develop something new, a new feature, or you release something into the wild, well, there again is another opportunity. There's someone going to try to exploit it. So for security, like across all the different realms of the security area, you're always looking at what have we just done? Where's the opportunity here? How can we prevent it? And then usually, if you're proactive, you can find it. You can patch it, you can make sure it's secure. And then sometimes it just goes unexploited until someone's playing around enough and goes, hey, here's a zero-day vulnerability, have some fun. And then we're on the back foot and we're trying to patch it that way. But honestly, in the security area, it is always just looking at the opportunities. What have we done? How can this create someone that's usually playing around, right? Like most criminals, be it cyber or physical, they're not there every day trying to attack just you specifically, or sitting on your platform, sitting on your system going, oh, how can I get money out of this? How can I get data out of this? They're usually just playing around, doing some tricks, and if the opportunity presents itself, there we go, I've got access. But if it's hard, they move on to somewhere else.
So it's usually like a numbers game. They just try to phish or hack or exploit as many people as possible just to get one person, which I guess leads into why your role as an influencer is important.
Absolutely. It is a numbers game. And when we have AI, we have different technology, that number game gets exponentially bigger. Your ability to attack different people, you can send thousands of phishing emails in a matter of seconds. I can buy data, well, not me specifically, I'm not hacking anyone, but I can, not yet.
But one can buy data, presumably.
One can buy data, and you can buy thousands of email addresses, phone numbers, and you can send them in a heartbeat. And so when you go back 20, 30 years, when we didn't have access to the internet, when we didn't have these complex systems, an attacker had to be physically in your location, and now your location is online. And so absolutely right. Thousands of opportunities every minute. And for us in security, it's making sure that everyone is aware of that and everyone always has their defenses up. And when you don't have your defenses up, something happens, having the confidence to go, hey guys, I think I'm seeing something unusual. I think I'm seeing something that's not quite right here. And proactively reaching out and making sure that we're securing it before anything else bad can happen. But it's absolutely a numbers game. And the odds are not in our favor. It is definitely in the favor of attackers and hackers.
So you mentioned finding a 0-day vulnerability and then just being like, hey, have fun. So for those who might not know, our listeners out there, what is a 0-day vulnerability? What does that mean?
Watch me explain it really, really badly because I'm not technical. But basically a 0-day vulnerability, in really layman's terms, is when it is a unexploited vulnerability. So it's the first time that someone has found this error, be it in code or something that it is, and they exploit it for the first time. It's a 0-day. We don't have any patches available. We don't have any way really to secure it yet. And that's when we have a 0-day in the wild. I think, watch all of the security people go, she's clearly non-technical. She's clearly crime prevention. Yeah.
What is the difference there? You said technical and crime prevention. Like, what is the difference there?
From my perspective, when you look at crime prevention, it's looking more at the human elements and looking more at the environmental elements. So my background is looking at why do people engage in crime and why do people fall victim to crime? And obviously that comes down to our mindset. It comes down to how we think and feel at that time, and it comes down to our environmental aspects. So really simple, traditional example. I'm walking down a dark alleyway. That really presents that opportunity for crime because it's dark. I can't see around me. I can't see really, really far. And that gives an offender a really good opportunity to hide, to jump out and to attack me or to rob me or whatever it might be. So that's that crime prevention. It's looking at, well, what can you do to secure yourself or to change the elements around you so that you're less likely to fall victim? Is it walking down a longer but well-lit street so that you get back to your car? Is it making sure that you're constantly looking around you? Whereas when we're looking at that kind of technical aspect, I think we have a lot of crime prevention elements in there. It's about the environment, but it's not looking so much at that human element as looking more at how those codes or technologies or softwares integrate and work together. So I would say crime prevention is the wider term for it, but it really is more of that psychology, environmental, situational perspective when it comes to crimes and cybercrime as well.
Did you study specifically for that? Is there a...
I did, yeah, I did. No, so I did criminology at university, and that's what my PhD actually is in. So in criminology, it's changing now, but you look at your traditional crimes, you look at sociology, you look at psychology, you look at all of these different factors that lead into it. I then took a really active interest in more that policing side, in that environmental side. How do we get people to trust the police to help and actually intervene? So when I see something that's a little bit off, a lot of people go, oh, whatever, I don't care, that's not my problem. How do I get someone to then engage the police to go, hey, I'm seeing drug crimes, or hey, I'm seeing something that's suspicious and engaging with them. So that's the background. That's what I studied at university. And then... Do you have that magic answer, by the way? Because it sounds like that. Is it empathy? I feel like empathy or a sense of common good, but I don't know. So I'm hoping you know. It's a great question. How do we get people to report? It comes down to trusting the police, very, very simply. It's trusting that they will do something about it, and also having the understanding of the motives behind why it would be a good thing to do. So when we worked with the police, we did something that was called procedural justice. And when you distill it down, it's just getting people to understand that, hey, we're here as people who are trying to help, We are not the enemy. We're not chasing you down in our cars. We're not looking for you, in your car swerving over a line. We're here to actually make sure that you're safe and secure. What we're doing, like random breath tests or making sure that they're red light cameras. It's not to be mean. It's not to be malicious. It's here to protect people from dying on the roads. It's here to protect your wife and your children who are in a car that might get hit by a drunk driver or something like that. And really communicating that message, giving people that dialogue to then talk back and say, yep, this is my experience. This is why this is annoying to me. How can we work together? And just building that trust in the police force. So empathy absolutely comes into it. But I think it's dependent on the situation, dependent on the police force and the communities that also engaging with them. And so back to how do I work at SEEK and as a security influencer, it's trying to get people to see that as a security team, we're not the team of no. We're not the people that go, yeah, that's a cool feature, but hell no is that going live. We're the team of making sure that our customer data is secure. And if our customer data is secure, that means your job is secure. And it means that you can do those cooler things down the line, but you just got to trust in us enough to make sure that what we're doing now is safe so that everyone can have a better time along the way.
I do see that kind of connection, like with the whole policing random breath test. Like we have random phishing attempts, right, by the security team.
By me, that's me.
which I see that as the sort of thing. Like if you click on it and you've incorrectly clicked on it, you don't get a fine. It's not a bad thing. It's like it's meant to be that learning of that.
There's no mandatory training. I've been at organizations that had mandatory training. If you fail.
How do you go about designing things that are meant to look legit, but also enough so you can kind of tell something's fake, right? How do you go about that?
And that's the balance, right? Because exactly what you said, I don't want someone clicking on it and then getting mad at me because, I failed it and now I'm in trouble. And so what we do is, and obviously we started slow. Organizations should always start slow. We did the really obvious ones first, like your PayPal account has been compromised and you should think, I don't have PayPal on my work account. At least I shouldn't. And we made them really, really obvious. The red flags were clear. The domain was something ridiculous like hot sauce 123. And you're like, definitely not my PayPal. And then from there, we're really trying to build up maturity. But it's a long time, right? So I need to make sure then that people understand, hey, check out the domain name. Always check it. Look for typos. Look for a number 1 instead of an L, something like that. And then we start teaching them on those social engineering tactics. So people will use fear to try to get you to act quickly because fear is going to change the way that your brain works. It's going to change the way that you react to things. When you're in a state of fear or panic, we don't rationally think things through. We go to what is second nature to us. And what's second nature to us? It's acting on an email. It's clicking on a link. It's following instructions. And so we start training on those tactics and how do we see levels of hierarchy and why do I fall for a request that's from my boss as opposed to my colleague? We train people in that. And then all of a sudden we start including more and more in those emails. And then we start going online and we listen to podcasts that companies release and we listen to what people are we look at what people are posting on LinkedIn and we start putting together these profiles on SEEK or for any other company that I've worked for, you put together these profiles. We start putting them in those phishing emails, but then enough red flags that someone can still go, this is a training exercise, but I'm understanding that they've gotten this information online. They've been looking at our press releases. They've been looking at what I've happened to post on my personal account on LinkedIn that I thought no one would see. They found it because I'm a link to this company. So it really is just that fine line between how much can I tell you and teach you things and then giving it a go, putting it into a phishing email, whatever it might be, and then getting you to learn yourself going, that was really clever. That really got me. And then circling back and going, hey, that was good. You probably fell for it because you were trying to do things too quickly. You're running between meetings. You were on your phone. You weren't thinking about it. Your kid was crying in the background. How can we change the circumstances around that? Maybe let's not check emails every 2 minutes when something comes in. Maybe give yourself 15 minutes where you can stop and reflect on the content and then working through it that way. Because it's not just limited to, these are non-technical folks. Our tech people around the world are actually more likely to fall for phishing scams because we're often so quick, we're always on our computers, and we often feel that we're smarter and more equipped for these technical types of scams. And that's the problem. It's not. Phishing is not a technical scam. The ideas behind it and how you send it and get through domains, that's technical. Social engineering, that's a human factor. And that's where I think we sometimes need to stop and think. Just because we're really good at our jobs and we're working with computers every day doesn't mean you're not going to fall for a cybercrime.
But most engineers aren't human, right? That's why we don't fall for them. No, that's really surprising that we I guess engineers fall for them more. Do you send them out company-wide? Does it go out to product and everyone?
Goes to everyone.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and then we can start limiting it down to departments as well. So we can start sending more specific ones to departments so that what you might be seeing, the tools that you might be using, we start training you to spot fishiness in those emails.
You were talking earlier about report-phishing buttons. Can you elaborate what you were mentioning there, that they don't work?
Yeah, so that's actually my PhD. So that's what I studied. That's what I'm almost a doctor in, fingers crossed.
Very exciting.
Very, very exciting. When I'm a doctor, there will be a huge party. I'll come back on the podcast, guys, and we'll celebrate.
I can't wait.
The research that I've conducted is that a report button by itself is actually ineffective in getting people to change their behaviors, which when you think of it logically, you're like, yeah, it's just a button. Why would it do it? But a lot of times when we think about crime prevention, we have this idea of, well, if I just give you the ability to report it, then you'll obviously think about phishing and you'll start reporting phishing and obviously problem solved. And that's not the case. Just because we put a nudge in place doesn't mean it's an effective nudge to change our behaviors. And so what my research then did was we went, okay, well, what other nudges can we include online as really low-cost alternatives, right? Because me coming and training you face-to-face or in big groups, whatever it might be, that's a lot of time, that's a lot of resourcing, that's a lot of effort from both of our parts. So what can I do online in your workspace that's going to change the way you think? And so we tested different nudges. Do normative nudges work? If I tell you that all of your colleagues report something, are you more likely to report it? And that's not the case. Are you more likely to report it if I tell you that the company demands it? We have that hierarchical kind of institutional line. No, it doesn't work. And so all of a sudden we have this whole new problem where we have things in the market that's telling us, oh, you just put this button and people will report it. You just need to tell them that it's there and they'll use it and then they'll start spotting phishing and you can start doing complex ones. That's not the case. Being secure is a mindset and it is something that takes a lot of time to develop. And just random nudges or just me saying to people, hey, just make sure you're secure, that doesn't mean anything, right? Me having a button or a tick and flick thing in a file that says, hey, make sure that you've run this to make sure it's secure. Absolutely not. Like, we constantly need to be engaging. We need to put it into our mindset. And I think from that developer engineering angle, we need to be thinking security first. I know everyone says that and you're like, oh, I know. But it actually is. It's a mindset that you need to develop and adapt over time.
But it sounds like it's not even just the simple stuff of, we've talked before about how SQL injection is still one of the most common attack vectors, right? So obviously when we're thinking security mindset, we need to be making sure that we're, from a technical point of view, being secure. But it also sounds like there are so many avenues where even we're potentially opening up the customers to security exploits by, say, phishing. If we make a feature that makes somebody's profile public online, it's like, so therefore, like LinkedIn, your profile is probably partially public, and therefore you go and use LinkedIn, SEEK, whatever, upload your personal data. So do we, as the engineers or the company, then have a responsibility to try and prevent the social engineering as well? I
think so, but it's really complex, right? Because when you're doing your job, like, you guys are experts in your jobs. And so we're not expecting you to think of every single stakeholder and every single thing that might go wrong. That's beyond the scope of it. And that's where it's really important to then start thinking about, well, how can I proactively engage in reviews early on or planning this early on so that someone who does have that skill set of thinking, might this open up this vector, or might this put our data at risk, or might this have this aspect where someone can socially engineer our customers later on? You got to start engaging the people that think about that day in, day out. Because it's, as much as we want a security mindset, and I think we can develop it to some degree in everyone's jobs, your job is not to always be secure. Your job is to get these features out, to do it, and to make it productive and good for the company. But it's about having that mindset of going, this could potentially be bad. Who can I talk to? How can I engage in security? And that's where it really starts making that difference. And I think that's something that we should be really proud of at SEEK as well, is that we do have really good relationships between our developer teams, our product teams, and security, where people can say, hey, I just want to run this by you early on in the process, proactively, before we're 10 minutes to launch. How might this be detrimental to us? And I think that's a really, really important thing. And I think if you're in a company or you're working and you don't have that relationship with security, really try to build it up, right? Get yourself a partner, get yourself a friend in the security team, and just start asking those questions. Because it's great to have that mindset of just thinking something might go wrong, and what is it? And then bringing in people that can actually really threat model it or test it for you, pen test it, whatever it might be at whatever stage in the developer process that you're in.
So you mentioned with your PhD that...
PhD.
Yeah. I know. Very
Doctorate, yes.
The phishing button doesn't work because I know we have that. We mentioned that you send out kind of phishing training emails and stuff. So if that doesn't work, what should we be doing?
So the button by itself doesn't work. If I just gave you the button and said, I'm going to send you phishing emails, go for gold, that doesn't work as a nudge. But having a nudge and then having training and relationships around it, that's what works. So like we said before, you came in the first few weeks, what did you do? You did a social engineering training. And you learned that it's not just about all these technical exploits. It's about someone sending you an email that might be heartfelt or saying, hey, I really need your help. I'm behind this deadline. I need you to do this. I need you to do it before the end of the day. It's knowing that those are the types of emails and having those as constant reminders that those are the types of emails or phone calls or text messages or whatever it might be. Having that constant engagement, having that constantly promoted to you, but then having ongoing training. Just the fact that you know about it, cool, fine, whatever, and you know that there's a button, great. But it's engaging in that training, engaging in that way of thinking, having fun activities. Like some of the best things in my job is we have escape rooms and we have a Dungeons and Dragons style choose your own adventure security game.
Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
Yeah.
So we rolled it out, but we rolled it out to our graduates actually, and they had a really good time. And so then we are rolling it out to you guys because I know you'll have fun. But it's getting you to then think through, well, if I was a hacker, what would I do to hack my own company? Or if I were a hacker, what would I do to hack my best friend here at SEEK? So thinking of, well, if you were going to send them a phishing email, what would you find online that you could then use against them? So do they have an active interest in the specific type of sports? Are they a runner? Could we then say, hey, we're going to give you a free Yeti bottle or a free backpack that you can take on your next run? What kind of domains would you be sending it from that look legitimate but aren't the real company? And then we get you guys to actually work through it and engage in it and do the actions so that when you see an email, when you get a phone call, whatever it might be, you go, wait a minute, that's what I would do to hack that person. You've gone through the activities that you then know, hey, I'm going to report it to security. I'm going to use that report phishing button. Or if it's a phone call, I know I'm going to call the security team and say, hey, they've just tried to get this information out of me. This seems wrong because I've myself tried to hack SEEK and I know how to do it. So that's the type of things that we do to make sure it's front of mind and that skill set is actually developed.
How do you track that this training actually works? Because I don't know how do you see more reports or what? How does that work?
Yeah, so we track a couple of different metrics. So we look at...
It's always metrics.
There's
always metrics.
It's always a dashboard somewhere. So we track different metrics. So we look at your click rates, but not just your click rates. We look at click rates over difficulty of emails. So like I said before, I can send you a really, really easy email that is a stock standard template. And if we get 1% click rate, cool, that's great. But if I send you a highly targeted one that starts including the products that you use that happen to be publicly available online or your team names, your manager names, that kind of thing, and we have a 3% click rate, but it's a level 5 difficulty, it's a hard one, that's what we're tracking over time.
Level 5, you have different levels of
phishing.
Oh,
we
wow,
do.
okay.
Yes, we do. And we send different ones out to the business. We see how you go. We see how different department goes. But we also have the report rates, like you said. We track the report rates for those level of difficulties. And then we have a whole range of other metrics as well, like how likely are you to engage with security team? How likely are you to reach out? Do you have a champion in your team? Do you have someone
how do you quantify that? And
that's where it gets really hard. And you have to start looking at it more from that social lens and really plotting out the business to go, yep, we can see that we've got relationships with this team. So we can see that we have lots of requests for a threat model or for a pen test from these teams. Maybe these other teams that aren't engaging with us, maybe let's reach out and see what we can do there. So it's really quite difficult to quantify risk sometimes and to know where your risk comes from. And that's why I think this job is not just, as much as I say it's fun games, it's also just looking at data and really going, where is silent sometimes? Because it's great that we've got noise, it's great that we've got report and click rates, but where are we silent and where do we need to start focusing our attention?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like you're really trying to teach people how to be secure while also trying to make sure that we are secure, but you don't want to make it boring. Like that's where the fun in games comes in. So it kind of feels like that teacher role of like, this is how we should be doing things and this is how I can make it. So you actually want to learn about this as well.
And that you can take it into your jobs as well. I don't want someone to sit in my training and go, oh, this is completely irrelevant to me. And that's where it gets really hard. I know how to make it fun and relevant for our sales teams or our service teams or even our finance team sometimes. Like I know that lawyers seem really uptight sometimes. They love a good competition and we know that. And then this is where it gets really hard for our technical team sometimes, our engineers, our developers, because that's not a background that I'm familiar with. And I really need to think and I really need to chat to a lot of people and go, okay, well, what motivates you? What would make this interesting and something you can take to your day-to-day life?
So the influencer title, that feels like a very new title. Do companies have a lot of these roles? And are they usually called social influencer?
No. So this is the first time I've actually ever heard this title. And it really tries to go back to the idea of influence like behavior change, not your
social
TikTok.
media influencer, yeah.
Exactly right. So it really is trying to influence that behavior change aspect. There's so many different titles for this. A lot of people are called security awareness. And to me, I think that really devalues what we do because it's not that we're just trying to create awareness. We're trying to change behaviors. We're trying to change how you operate and how you engage with your work. If all I'm doing is try to make people aware of the latest scam and all I'm doing is saying, hey, here's one from Australia Post, here's one from DHL, here's one from this company, you don't really learn that elements behind it. Well, how do I verify it? Why is this coming to me? And actually thinking about it's because it's just opportunity. If they send 1 million text messages about you getting a package, well, a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand in that million are probably expecting a package. Those odds are probably going to go up at Christmas time when you're expecting gifts, right? And so when you just talk about awareness, it doesn't matter if you know. It matters whether or not you actually understand why it's coming and how to understand that that's a scam or a threat or something that might be a vulnerability, right? And so that's where you really need to start thinking, not just on the level of, oh, I know I need to do security. It's, no, I'm starting to understand why people are attacking or why they're going for the easiest entry point. It's because that's just basic crime theory and that's why you want to think about it. So it absolutely goes beyond awareness. And it's my little pet peeve is when people say, oh, you're the awareness girl? No. I'm the behavioral engineer, thank you.
It sounds like really the easiest attack vector is, it's not the tech. The most likely attack vector is you, the human. And once we train you, the human, then even if you change roles or change companies, I mean, you can take that knowledge home to your personal life and go, well, this Oz Post text message, it's got nothing to do with SEEK, but it still might be malicious. And then you can theoretically help your partners or children or parents or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Humans are, I think it's something like 74% of, like when we see a successful attack or a data breach, 74% of the time it's because someone's attacked a human. And that's the first entry point. It doesn't stop there. And so depending on what human you've happened to attack, then depends on where you can go as a hacker or a cyber criminal, right? So if I'm trying to, I guess, exploit kind of that tech side of SEEK or any company, I am still going to try to hit you with a phishing email first. I'm still going to try to get your credentials as a developer, coder, whatever you might be as an engineer. And then I'm going to get access to the system and then I'm going to start exploiting it that way. But the human element, that is still usually the easiest way to get in. And it is the most exploited way to get in. And I think that's an absolute shame because humans, we are really, really clever. At a very subconscious level, we know when something is off. We just don't listen to it because we're busy, because we're trying to pack 1 million things into the day. But cyber criminals know that. They know that there is an opportunity here. And as soon as there's an opportunity, you take it.